Hey, welcome everyone to our final event of Do It in Durham Week. By now, I know most of you probably know that it is Global Entrepreneurship Week, and we are celebrating Durham Region's celebration of global entrepreneurship, which is Do It in Durham, which is a collaboration of Durham's business support, educational, and networking organizations who have come together to encourage and support entrepreneurs, job creators, and innovators who create economic growth in Durham region. So if you're looking to start a business, invest in a business, grow a business, we encourage you to do it here in Durham. And thank you to our sponsors. Without their support and contribution, we would not be able to host this event series. So with that, I will leave some more information in the chat. Feel free to drop any questions in the chat. I'll be monitoring that. And I will hand it over to you, Dasha.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. And thank you to everybody who's attending my first ever online workshop. This is so exciting and so nerve-wracking. So thank you so much. I wanted to say thank you to Do It in Durham for having me and giving me the opportunity to speak for the first time. It's very, very exciting to be able to share what I've learned along the way, building my own business and having moved to Durham pretty recently. So I'm just in awe of the community and really thankful for it. First things first, use this QR code to scan and download a document that will have a bunch of additional information that is supplementary to what I'm talking about today, because there is no way that I can cover everything in 60 minutes, and I also don't want to talk like your ears off. So this will have lots of handy information that might answer some of the questions that come up that you may have throughout this presentation. So I'll give everybody about a couple of minutes to just open that up and download the document. And if you need it afterwards, then we can also send it to you afterwards if you don't get a chance to download. So I wanted to introduce you to myself and my business. I run Maison, a holistic design, branding, and marketing agency. And we are originally a side hustle extraordinaire project turned full-time during COVID and because of circumstances. And my branding is actually the story of people just like yourselves who are attending this event. And my branding is all about the different clients that I've worked with since I started. And the idea was to create a story that would grow along in time as my business grows. And I want to teach you guys how to do the same for yourselves. So first things first, we are a nomadic branding, design, and marketing studio based in Durham. I just moved into Durham a couple years back. Our proprietary approach to storytelling comes from a 15-year-long career in journalism, print media, and all sorts of positions in small business marketing. I form insightful brand strategies, I execute intricate project plans, and I create impactful work with longevity. And you can too. It's really as simple as a formula. So what I do is I basically sort out the noise that creativity can cause, because there's so many different potential options to go in with logic and utility, which is why I say that there's a formula to what I do. I authentically represent my clients' businesses, and I also set long-term marketing strategies into place and also into play. Small businesses have big impact. And what I mean by that is that there are 1.19 million small businesses in Canada. And about a third of those business owners start a company to become their own boss. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that. A not so fun fact is 20% of small businesses fail by year 1, and by year 5, that's 50% of small businesses. Why? Because of waste. Whether it's wasted time, wasted money, wasted effort, wasted emotional space and labor, or stress, or any combination thereof. And to elaborate even further, small business owners are reporting that 38% of them have failed because they've run out of cash, and 52% of small business owners have a tough time of getting high quality labor. That is a problem I myself, I have struggled with. The top 5 obstacles for small businesses that have 1 to 19 employees, specifically in Canada, that they're struggling with include inflation, higher expenses, interest rates and debt, quality of labor, and then also cost of insurance. I'm on year 5 of my small business, but that doesn't mean that I have finished my formula or my strategy. I am growing along with my clients as they are growing too. You know, it takes 6 months for a pineapple to grow. So like, go easy on yourself. Good things take time. And that's the same for a branding and marketing plan. In those 5 years, I have spent $0 in ad spend. What I do instead is lean on a systematic, empathetic scheme of branding and marketing for my clients that is targeted to relationship maintenance. And what my goal is to essentially establish a roster of clients that has a target demographic of 1/3 new leads or cold leads, 1/3 recurring clients, and 1/3 referrals. And what this does is this makes your business recession proof. And whether or not you're in an upturned or downturned economy, this will lend some stability to your business. And my branding and marketing plan is designed to ensure this kind of a mix. Another question I keep hearing small business owners ask is AI going to render my work obsolete? And it's Schrodinger's answer. It's yes and no. And what I mean by that is that it will replace the things that you don't do well. And that's actually a good thing because you're not robots, you're humans, and we all need a little help. But you can also use it to help you do what you do, but even better. And first, get your shit together. That's what I preach before even starting a branding and marketing plan is what are your operations doing? So operations includes having customer relationship management tools, so places where you can store a database of customers and create systematic plans for maintaining that relationship. Project management tools for the business owner that is on the go or handling a lot of different clients at the same time. Scheduling software to create seamless experiences for your clients in order to make onboarding the client as easy as possible for you and to reduce friction in that process. And then finally, client care, which is the systematic approach to onboarding the client, offboarding the client, and then also maintaining the relationship overall. Is there a plan for this? And if not, there should be. So I'm going to skim over a couple of these pages that have that cover basically some programs between CRMs, project management tools, and customer service tools in the document that you guys have, the branding and marketing survival guide. That will have tons of extra information that you will also see here. But essentially, the first thing that you need to do if you're starting a business is find a place to store all of your client information. That is going to be the most important thing first and foremost. If you are going to be handling a lot of different kinds of projects or clients, the next thing I would recommend is getting yourself a project management tool. I personally am using something called Maison, which is an AI-powered scheduler essentially, and it just operates by auto-placing tasks within parameters that I set. And then when I actually am changing my schedule throughout time, whether people are booking in appointments or whatever it is, it's automatically rescheduling everything for me using AI. So it's a much better executive assistant than I am for myself. And there are a lot of different options out there. They all have similar functions. It's just about finding the fit that's best for you and works within your budget. Scheduling software, I think, is also one of the #1 things to actually give your business a boost. Before I had scheduling software, I found that it was very hard to maintain relationships with new people because there's so many different touch points that you can do from the point that somebody books a meeting with you to the time that they've booked a meeting with you and then following up on that meeting, because that's going to be the most important thing in terms of acquiring new clients, I think, is getting their confidence and by having that person-to-person interaction. So scheduling software, highly recommend it. It is some of the best money that I have spent, I think, on my business. And there's a lot of different kinds out there. Calendly, I believe, is a Canadian company, if I'm not mistaken. So I really like them. Acuity is linked with Instagram, and then there's a lot of different options out there too, based on what you're looking to do. And then for service, I also find that it's really important to figure out your email platform. So I really like email platforms that integrate video. And this is going to be really important in terms of systematically maintaining those relationships over time and acquiring a compounding effect from your marketing. It just allows you to kind of get your face in front of people a little more often than traditional marketing models. So once you have your operations in place, accounting is like the next thing that I find a lot of business owners will bump into. So for me, my personal advice is hire a human unless this is your expertise. And the reason why I say that is simply because it is just so much better to rely on an accountant or somebody else to navigate all of those confusing questions for you, bar none for me. This was also one of the best first hires that I had for my business. Now that you've equipped the basics, it's time to actually start covering the branding and marketing formula. So one thing you will hear me say time and time again is that branding is formulaic and its expression is organic. And what that means is that there is a cut and dry path for how you should be doing all of your different tasks. But if you are actually doing those tasks in a way that is genuine to you as the business owner, then every single time the result should be as unique as you are. So with that, the first two stages of my 5-stage branding and marketing formula are essentially two different pieces to one puzzle. So the first part of the puzzle is called developing a visual language. And these are all of the basic graphic items that you will need to give your potential clients subliminal information about who your business is, what its values are, and what its services are. So I always start with mood boarding, and mood boarding is really, really important before you even get started because there is no point in hiring a graphic designer if you don't know what you want. This is just going to waste you time and money until you get an actual mood board done for yourself in terms of what you think you actually want to express with your business. Parts of the things in the mood board that you should be covering include what you want your logo design to look and feel like, what symbols it uses, icon development, which is basically a visual representation of the services that your business has to offer or products. Backgrounds or pattern pairings as well, because you're going to need brand match patterns and backgrounds in order to have a very cohesive scheme across all of your future materials, which we'll cover in the next few stages. A color palette that is reflective of what you want your clients to feel when they look at your business. And then also font choices that are both that have personality, but then also don't have conflict between them as well. So to maximize legibility in any of your written items. So the visual language stage, I find typically takes about 3 to 6 months if you're doing it properly, but there's also a lot of different options between graphic designers and agencies where you could potentially do 1-day intensives to get all of these items built out based on what your needs are. There's week-long packages, there's multi-week packages, and then there's also kind of like the traditional marketing department role, which would take somewhere between 3 to 6 months, I would say. And so the second stage of the 5-stage branding and marketing formula is your multimedia narrative. And what cultivating a multimedia narrative is essentially figuring out what your brand's pitch is or your script is every single time in a really cohesive and succinct way, and then translating that into a bunch of different media, whether it's graphics, photos, videos, animations, product renderings, merchandise design, anything that you need in order to tell your story to appeal to as many learning styles as possible is what you're going to be going for. And what I call this is the hoarding stage. So this stage starts and it never ends. And I actually recommend hoarding lots of different either in-house items or stock items and a mix of it together so that you are able to deploy that in the future through your social media campaigns, through your email marketing campaigns, on your website, and in your print sales tools. So it's really important to actually collect a lot of these particular items so that you are able to kind of just work on the objectives that you need in the future as they come up rather than scrambling to work backwards. If you have this stuff stockpiled, it'll make your life a lot easier and you won't be struggling to constantly make new content. now we do the 3 stages of marketing. And so stage number 3 is sales tools and print marketing. And the reason why I always do print marketing before I do digital or brand experiences is because I find small business owners tend to be more present with their decision making if they know that what they're investing in is something that's either going to get printed out or helping them make sales, because you need to make money before you end up like investing money on all sorts of other things as well. So while an agency or a designer might be building out your website, you can still be connecting with new leads. You can still be pitching your services. You can still be putting together brand partnerships and working on your business while somebody also works on the other elements of your business. And as business owners, we typically, that's like our job first and foremost, out of everything. So with the sales tools and print marketing, the very first thing I recommend doing is getting a set of brand guidelines put together. And what this is an overall visual directory of exactly how your brand is going to live in real life. And it is really important to have this document when you are thinking about expanding or scaling your business, because if you want to hire extra people on and make sure that all the projects that are going to be put across are visually cohesive and make sense with each other, brand guidelines are that document that will be the anchor for all of those different projects. So it's much easier to plan everything now and then have that plan ready for when you are actually in the place to execute on it. Then a bunch of the other stuff that kind of falls in this category includes office items like stationery, business cards, whether those are print or digital business cards, pitch decks, which I think are really, really important. So whether you're trying to get people to sell your product or service, hire you, or if they want to purchase your product, pitch decks are a really great way to add value to your clients and then also solidify how are you selling everything, because the pitch deck becomes the basis for your website in the future. And the more that you have messaging that is cohesive and is constantly reiterating the same consistent messaging across all these different platforms, the more likely you're going to convert to that sale down the road. Some other items that are included in sales tools and print marketing include catalogs, posters, point of sale materials. So point of sale materials, that covers anything that would be in a store or a retail operation, or if you're wholesaling. Signage and packaging design as well. Again, you want all of these items kind of designed and completed before you go to your next steps. The next step would be to cultivate a digital presence. And what this means is coming up with a cohesive social media strategy that makes sense for you as a business owner. And part of social media strategy is thinking about the umbrellas of social media. So first there's content creation, is how are you going to make content? And then what are you going to do about scheduling that content? How are you going to plan all of your visuals to be cohesive with that brand? And then also community engagement, and then furthermore ad spend if that's something that is part of your business model. At the same time, we also look at the website as well, or coming up with the website as well at this point. So part of it is finding the platform that you want to use that is best for your particular business. If you are a product, it's best to use Shopify. If you're a service, then there's a lot of different options out there, from entry-level Wix platform to a little bit more customizable with WordPress. There's a custom plan that is available for your business and specific needs that will also grow with your business as it grows. So that's something to consider. When I'm putting together a website, what I actually do myself is I always lay out a pixel perfect PDF of every single page of the website that has all of the logos in place, all the icons in place, all the exact text, and all of the different items that I want. And what this does is it allows my clients the most amount of control over what the website looks and feels like, but without spending money and time on a developer and needlessly going back and forth between revisions. So if you get a website and you're not using just a basic template, I highly recommend getting a designer to give you like flat versions of each single page before going to development, because this will save a lot of time and heartache if you are going to be doing a lot of revisions. Once the website's complete, then we typically end up working on the email newsletter campaigns. So I find it's pretty easy to plan an email newsletter campaign for an entire year for a business, because the easiest way to start by doing that is by focusing on dates that are going to be important to your business throughout the year. So some businesses might be more family focused, so it makes sense to focus on holidays. Some businesses might be seasonal, so it might be important to focus on what leading up to the season. If you have a particular theme, it might be just easy to figure out, okay, we want to send out 2 emails per month without spamming people. If you do that, then you need to come up with 24 ideas for the year. It's really not that hard to come up with a year-long email newsletter plan, and actually have things going for you in advance. At the same time, I also find that text marketing is something that can be looked over, skimmed over. I find that if you end up pairing email newsletters with text, that can really increase your open rate. And it's just a great way to also cultivate that online presence and stay in touch with your clients in a systematic way. Finally, we talk about brand experiences. So what brand experiences are the culmination of all of the physical and emotional interactions that a client has had with your business. So different examples of turning your brand into an experience is, first of all, trade shows and markets, in-store and office experiences, signage, decals, client events, client care, which is slightly different. So how are you showing your clients that you appreciate them over the year? Print mail campaigns, because sometimes, it's actually more effective for people to receive something tangible in the mail than an email inbox. And then also client education. So client education can take the form of whether it's online courses, whether it's workshops like the one that you're all in, and with me right now. So that's basically just some ideas of what brand experiences are. So the more you tie your brand into a physical experience for your clients, which is why we talked about merchandise and things like that, the more your clients can bond with your brand as well. So now we're getting to tools. This is a list of tools, and it's also in the document that I built. So these are all the different items that I use to support myself when I'm working on a holistic marketing project, but I don't necessarily have the budget to hire people. So I'll go through this really quickly. Pinterest is what I use for mood boarding. Its visual search algorithm is so good and so intuitive. I know there's some designers who don't necessarily approve of it. I find it's a really good tool that any of my clients can kind of get behind and join me in the mood boarding process. So I find collaboration is really important, and it's a really just easy to use tool. Midjourney is it's much cheaper than hiring a junior designer. I use Midjourney. It's an AI that helps with image generation. So it does not replace a designer fully, but it is good for conceptualization. So if you need ideas for what logo might look like, if you need to come up with like concepts, but you don't have the time to do a photo shoot or whatever it is, just learning how to prompt Midjourney is a very valuable skill, and it's not very expensive for the year. Envato Elements is what I use to put together all sorts of quick templates for those projects that are just like 15 minutes of I need to create a greeting card, or I need to put together a brochure really quickly. Envato Elements is a really great cheap subscription that gives you access to a lot of different stock items. Adobe Stock is a little bit more on the expensive side, so it's not as worth it personally, but it is a good library for high quality stock photos. There are also a few others that are mentioned in this list. So this one I wouldn't recommend first and foremost. It's just what I use. AutoDraw is a tool, I think it's created by Google if I'm not mistaken, but it helps you actually come up with icons on your own. You start drawing icons on a screen and it populates them for you with a bunch of different options. So it's pretty neat. Icon Scout is a really cool website that also it helps you find licensed icons, but if you want like a little extra oomph, these icons can be animated, they can be custom colored just within the website itself, and then you end up downloading it. So the Icon Scout website is really cool. Tabbied is a really interesting website that creates patterns. So if you want to create brand match patterns, but you don't have that kind of or like artistic access, I guess, like patterns are not my strong suit personally. Tabbied is a really cool website to try out. And then Google Fonts, that's pretty self-explanatory. So the reason why I typically will choose at least the body font of branding design is I will go through Google because of faster loading times. If you end up using custom fonts that aren't from Google Fonts, it can increase the loading time on your website. Colormind is another really cool, website that does color palettes. ChatGPT is what I use as a junior copywriter. So I never actually use just ChatGPT prompts or text. I will always edit it, but it's a really great place to start if you're the kind of person who needs somebody to bounce off of. And then ChatGPT is also really good at problem solving and coming up with creative ideas if you find that you're hitting a brick wall. So highly recommend ChatGPT. It's free. And then also the paid version is pretty cool too, but it's not necessary. Unsplash is another stock library for really good for kind of artsy creative photos and things like that. So this is one that I use that I find is better than Adobe stock. Designspiration is pretty cool. It lets you search basically like hex codes or colors, and you can find images in those exact colors. So if you're put mood boarding and you'd want something a little bit more personalized or advanced than Pinterest, then Designspiration is a really good tool. Canva is for creating all sorts of print and marketing materials and online marketing materials yourself, or if you have a designer and it allows you to collaborate with teams. Tools.design it's just a massive library of design tools that are free and online and open access. Gamma.io is really cool. This is an AI that basically generates websites and decks for you. And you just type in a prompt. So I want a luxury car website, and it'll do it for you. And it allows you to customize bits and pieces of it. So I found this really helpful as well. And then finally, for text marketing, I use the app called Reach. So this allows you to batch text people from your cell phone number. So it appears less spammy and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. So this is the giant list of tools that I use, and it's also shared in the branding and marketing guidebook. And that covers the gist of it high level, but if you're still lost, feel free to book a free brand strategy session with me. Anyone who schedules today will be enrolled in a raffle to win a $100 Amazon gift card. And if you're interested in that, feel free to book or enter the raffle using this QR code here. I'm just going to let it sit for a while, and then I think we can open up the floor to questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dasha. So there was a question, I know you just talked about the tools. It was about text marketing. So I think the one you mentioned was Reach. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So Reach is free, I believe. And yeah, that's what a lot of my clients are using right now, just to let people know, oh, I've released a YouTube video, or oh, like you should check your inbox. We have a greeting card with like an ice cream gift card for you or something like that. So that's how we're using it right now.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions?
Actually, I can't, I'm having problems with my chat, sorry, so I came on. I wanted to ask about audio, like dropping in an audio to somebody. What tools do you recommend for that? So if I wanted to record a quick audio on the go and then drop it into their mailbox without actually ringing them. It's like a ringless drop thing.
Yeah, WhatsApp is probably like the most common tool. If you just want to drop audio notes instead of calling somebody, WhatsApp's an online chat.
Yeah, but not everybody's on WhatsApp. I want to drop something into their phone mailbox without the phone ringing.
Yeah,
I know there are apps for that.
You would
I'm
download
sorry?
it directly. Oh, sorry. Hi. Yeah, no, you would download it directly from the App Store, and right away you can use their regular phone number. So you don't have to do anything else except have the app, and then there you go. You can send notes and images and everything to them. That would be definitely the best way.
I think you're on mute if you want. I heard you were trying to reply.
Oh, sorry. So that's on WhatsApp?
WhatsApp, yeah, it's the most common tool I find, or
So,
Facebook Messenger allows it too.
so my clients don't have to be on WhatsApp. I use
Uh,
WhatsApp to drop things into their voice, into their phone, into their phone.
So they would have to download the app, but it's like
No, I
very-
don't want them to download another app. I'm dealing with seniors, but I know there are apps that I can actually drop a audio message into their voicemail without ringing their phone.
Yeah, I
So,
don't really cover anything outside of like the more traditional
okay,
use cases. But if you're interested, we could book a session and maybe do some research to find something that's like a particular fit for what your intents and purposes are. It just sounds a little bit more nuanced than
okay. All right,
what
thank you.
people are using. No problem. I see at the top as well. There was another question, recommendations for CRM and project management tools. So I can tell you what I'm using for my business and why I'm using it for my business. So for a CRM, I use HubSpot free. I really like HubSpot because right now it's free. I've been running my business on it the entire time so far. I haven't needed to upgrade. The upgrades are prohibitive in terms of monthly costs, but it gives you a really good suite of marketing tools. So it lets you build landing pages to squeeze information from people. It lets you build libraries and databases of clients, and then it integrates with your Gmail so it can track absolutely everything that people are doing, like how many times they're opening up your emails, how long they're reading them for, and it can sync a lot of that information and store it for you as long as you're kind of tagging your emails in the right place and just keeping your database up to date. And then
Sorry, Dasha, do you mind just putting back your presentation with the QR code?
oh yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, I'm still screen sharing. I don't know what happened here. Oops. There we go.
There we go. Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't realize. And then project management, I use an app called Motion. So I can also put Motion up here as well, or actually, I don't want to remove that, but Motion is really cool. What I like about it is that it syncs with Gmail as well, and it basically inputs everything I need to do for the next 2 weeks based on availability that I provide and also parameters that I input. So let's say I have a proposal that I need to create for a client. I can say that I have to do it within 2 weeks from now, and it's going to take me X amount of time. And then it'll balance out everything using AI that I schedule for the next few weeks and automatically populate what's the most efficient way to do everything and get as much done within the parameters you put. So I also put like my chores, my bills, like I run my life using Motion because otherwise I would not know how to manage everything that I'm managing because I work with upwards of 8 clients at a time. So that really saved my life when I started using it this year. And it's a pretty reasonable price for the year too. I believe it's under 300 for the entire year.
Awesome. I'm going to check it out too. Thank you. I did put the link in the chat for Motion. There is another question from Althea. Do you have a tool that can be like a visual whiteboard to house ideas related to different projects?
A visual whiteboard to house ideas for related projects. I think that's kind of what I end up using Pinterest for. I'll pull it up really quickly. So essentially all of my projects, all of my visual projects. So can you see my Pinterest account right now?
Yes.
Is that how this thing works?
I can.
I don't get out much. So I actually end up organizing all of my creative projects in one board. So it'll go by client, but then within each board, they allow you to create mini boards. So if I'm creating a logo for a particular client, I'm like, okay, this is where I want to store all of the inspiration for my logo. If I want to create an icon set, then I put everything in one particular location. So it really helps give me some clarity and definitions. I want my patterns inspired by these kinds of visuals. So let me know if that makes sense or if that answers your question. I'm not sure if I got the whiteboard part correctly.
Yeah, so I think the follow-up question is, can you use that to pin websites or articles or external links?
Yes, so Pinterest has it has a plugin that you can connect with Google. And so basically, if you're anywhere in Google, it lets you turn an image into a pin, and you can backlink the link or the website to that pin, so you're able to go back and forth. And then, yes, you can also make Pinterest private to you only. I have some clients who don't want to share their projects, so we just work on a private Pinterest board that's invite only.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's really good to know. Thank you. Let's see. Does anyone else have any questions? Can I ask, what do you need to do to even start thinking of branding?
So before even thinking of branding, the first thing you need to do is get some of your operations in place. So figure out where you're going to be storing your email contacts and things like that. The most important thing to your business is not your social media presence, but it's probably compiling an email list of anybody that you've ever spoken to. So getting a CRM is the first thing I would say you need to do. And then depending on what your actual business is, then you need to figure out how are you going to be managing all of your different tasks. So you either need a project management tool or just figure out how you're going to be sorting yourself out before you get too busy to sort yourself out. And then figure out how you're going to be dealing with your financials. So I really recommend hiring an accountant personally, but there's also a lot of online tools. I just find that the amount of money paid to an accountant versus the amount of stress off of my plate is night and day difference. So I think those are the three big ones. And then also figure out your email platform as well. There's a lot of different ones out there. Flowdesk has really gorgeous templates. MailChimp is also pretty good, but it can be expensive past a certain size. So there's a lot of options out there. And then once you have all of those things, then you can start thinking of branding. Then you put together your mood board.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions in relation to branding? I have a question about your brand.
Sure.
What does your brand, like, what does the title or like your business name mean?
Okay, so it's just a strange story. So when picking out a business name, this is something that I've come across a lot is, do I use my own name or do I come up with a name? So first of all, I was thinking long term, if I ever want to sell this business, it can't be my name because I refuse to sell my name. I love it. So I was like, okay, now I have to think of a name. But I don't want to run into the issue of competing with somebody else online for the same SEO or the same search engine terms. So I was like, okay, I know I want to come up with something that is definitely not taken. And then I was like, okay. And then I also wanted to be easily like make sense or follow my Instagram handle. So my personal Instagram handle is Zolts because my name is Dasha Zolota. And then I also work with my younger sister. And this was also a COVID business, or I launched it full time during COVID. So it was inspired by home and then also by my last name. And just, I wanted a combination of letters that would be easy enough to type out as well. It's not a romantic story for the business name. It was just, find something that kind of means something to me, but relates to my Instagram that also nobody else has and that I don't have to compete with for SEO. And this is how I ended up at Maison. But honestly, I find that I just needed the name and I came up with it really quickly. And now I just call it Maison for short. But it's home for me. It started at home, and I love working creative jobs, and I love helping small business owners, and that's what feels like home to me, and I can do it for the rest of my life. And
Awesome.
good luck getting me to leave. So that's the end of the story.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. So I did see a couple more questions pop up here. So Althea, I keep hearing that physical things like business cards are going out of style. Do you still recommend investing in physical marketing merchandise?
100% I recommend investing in physical marketing merchandise. I would just recommend having an optimized version for each, because you're going to run into different situations where people might be a little bit more old-fashioned, or they don't want to deal with new tech, kind of like one of the earlier conversations that we were having. So, actually one of the first times it's happened to me in a while was at the BACD kickoff event on Monday. I ran out of business cards, not thinking that people would want as many business cards as they were asking for. So that's why I also have a QR code or a digital version, which you can actually scan here as well. And if you scan the QR code, it'll pop up with all of my info, and you can also click the icon on the bottom right with a little person. It'll add my contact info right into your phone if you have any questions. Let's see what, just looking at the other questions as well. And physical marketing merchandise. Highly recommend this. It just means figuring out a budget that makes sense for you, and then figuring out your top tier clients that you want to cultivate that relationship with. So as a design studio owner, every time I get a new client, I give them a closing gift when their project is over of an item that's custom branded to their business. So last year I gave all of my clients custom branded mugs with their logos on it, stuffed with hot chocolate. But it can be different each time. I do blankets sometimes, I do like clothing. It's whatever I think will be appealing to that person.
That's so cool and so nice of you. Okay, next question. How do you recommend finding new clients once all the new branding is complete for someone who has never had to promote themselves?
So I find community is the most important thing, and that's what this entire 5-stage marketing formula is hinging on, is finding community. So for me personally, I found a lot of traction in Facebook groups that are niche towards you, the business owner, and your location. So for example, I believe I found this opportunity for the BACD through Women Who Freelance Toronto. It's a group on Facebook, and that one has been really, really awesome. There's a few other ones like Ontario Women in Business. There's like a lot of these kinds of groups, and you just find those kinds of gig economies. They're essentially online gig economies. So when it comes to completely new clients, that's my favorite place. And then also you should talk about yourself. That's the other thing, is don't be shy to talk about yourself, because suddenly you'll find that, oh yeah, maybe 40 people have signed up for your workshop that you never thought would listen to you. That's the other thing, is just putting yourself out there, whether it's on social media, just getting started, start an email newsletter, and to people you already know, because I think about 60% of your business will come from people you already know, whether it's people who are going to keep coming back or people who are going to become advocates for you, who will be the ones telling random strangers on the street, you have to contact my friend. The more you talk about yourself to your network and the more you stay top of mind, the more you're going to actually delegate sales to other people who just simply really like what you have to offer.
Thank you. Let's see. Okay, question from Cindy. How did you make that business card that I just scanned? I'd like to make one. Thanks for all your resources today.
That is a good question. I am going to pull it up. QR code generator. I just did this. So I was in a nervous frenzy earlier today, making all of these different QR codes and links. So this is what I use. It's called QR code generator, powered by Bitly. So if you just type in QR code generator into Google, you're going to see one option that has this icon that's this like little blue square. I got the pro account so that I can make a bunch of these QR codes, and then it doesn't limit what people can do, but there's also a free version as well and a 14-day free trial, but that will turn your QR code off after some time. So this is what I'm using, and I found it's been super handy, and I like the little like website loading page that it does. And it has a lot of options. So if you want to create a QR code here, you just end up clicking, and then you can pick whether or not it's to website, Instagram, coupons, business page. Like there's so many different options about which kinds of QR codes you can make. So it's really intuitive and easy to use.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Let's see. Okay, I don't see any more questions. Someone saying thank you for the information. Oh, is there another question? Oh,
I'm not sure. Honestly, I feel like it's been a long week, and it is probably a good time to let everybody go, and thank everyone for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Awesome.
And
Well,
I want to thank
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, I just wanted to thank you guys for having me on. This is awesome.
Awesome. Thank you for taking time to do this today and sharing all this information. So much to learn. And thank you everyone else for attending on this late Friday afternoon. I'm just going to end the recording now.